tell me if this has happened to you. You go to an event, you meet a bunch of great people, you get their business cards, or you connect on LinkedIn or Instagram, and you leave thinking, wow, this was a really worthwhile event. I'm so glad I came. But then what happens next? Most people do absolutely nothing with those connections. And if you're not following up, I hate to break it to you, but you basically just wasted your money on that event, whether it was a $35 mixer or a Hawaii vacation's worth to a conference. It really was a total waste of your time. Now, maybe you're thinking, well, wait, I connected with everyone on LinkedIn, so I'm good, right? Wrong. Those connections are just sitting there collecting virtual dust. And adding someone to your CRM without any real engagement, well, that's like taking someone's business card and just throwing it in the trash, never to be seen again. So today we are going to talk about why going to events is completely pointless if you don't follow up, why people struggle with it, and how you're leaving so many opportunities, and let's face it, money, on the table by not taking that next step. And I'll give you some ideas on what following up should look like. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Creating Opportunities podcast. This is a place where we help smart, ambitious professionals create better relationships for success. And why? Because people matter. They're messy, but they make life better and they matter. And I am your host, Cassandra. I am a speaker, trainer, an iced coffee lover. It's important you know that. And I am here to help you make deeper connections. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's talk about how it's a waste of money first, because that one hits hard. And I will be honest, I am a budget savvy queen over here this year. I know we're all trying to be smarter about where we put our dollars, but I know people who are spending up to $10,000 on one dinner just to go network and meet people in a quasi curated room, barely curated room. $10,000. People are literally going to these things to get in rooms with other people that they think could help them in business. But honestly, if you don't follow up with any of those people, again, whether it's a $10,000 dinner or a $35 mixer happy hour, either way, if you don't follow up, you might as well just flush that money down the drain. Going to the event is just the ticket, the price of admission to being able to build a relationship with people. It's the start, it's not the finish. But it's not just money you invested, you also invested time and energy in that event, right? You've blocked off your calendar. You've possibly flown out of town for a conference, right? You're spending time and energy on a hotel room, energy in a room with people, away from your business, away from the things that you do day to day, including your family, and even just the prep to make a good impression. And then you come home and what? You send a couple of LinkedIn connection requests? That's it? All that investment, gone. Poof. I hate to break it to you, but you're no closer to achieving those goals, getting those new opportunities, building real relationships because you didn't follow up. So, why don't people follow up? Well, there are three big reasons I hear all the time, and I'm sure you can relate to at least one of them. Number one, overwhelm. Or as I like to call it, life. Life happens, right? You get home from an event and you get back into your regular life. You have an inbox full of emails that you need to reply to or Slack messages. Your kid has a soccer game. I came home from 2 days at events to, oh, my dog has to go to the vet and it turns out my oil change has to happen right this minute. All these things start getting in the way, and then all those people that you swore you were gonna get to, you don't get to. Let's just say life happens, it gets overwhelming. The second reason though is a really interesting one. Fear of rejection. You know, you met at an event, you had a great conversation, and now you need to reach out, but you're thinking, oh, what if they don't remember me? Especially if you didn't write right away, like maybe a week's gone by because life happened. Should you still message? Yes, you should. But we get in our heads about it and we go, oh, I don't know if they'll remember me. Or it was a speaker you met, right? And you were impressed by them and they said, oh, reach out and tell me more about you. And now you're so overwhelmed overwhelmed of like that fear of rejection of what if I say something that offends? Why do we always think we're going to be offensive? We're not. But we go, what if I say something that offends? Or if I say something that they don't like and they don't reply? Like, we just get in our heads about this fear of rejection. Even just, what if I reach out and they don't respond? It happens. So it's easier to hold on to that fun conversation we had rather than that risk of getting ghosted, right? And then finally, number 3, you don't have a strategy. You're not following up after events because you don't have a strategy. Now, strategy does not mean complicated, FYI. I think a lot of us hear the word strategy and go, oh yeah, I don't have a super complicated system. It doesn't have to be super complicated. It does need to be a system. But what I have learned is most people do not have a system for following up. They add someone on LinkedIn, or they come home and they throw their business cards that they got to an assistant and say, add them to the CRM, and that's it. Basically, there's no plan in place to keep those connections alive, and that is where you're missing out. So let's talk for a second on what you're missing out on, because the opportunity cost here is huge. You are missing out on potential clients, potential partnerships, referrals, collaborations, new job opportunities. You're missing out on a lot. And here's the thing, networking is all about staying top of mind. Those people you met at the event, they met dozens of other people too. If you don't follow up, you're just another face in the crowd. Meanwhile, someone else who did take the moment to write that quick message is building the relationship that you could have had. Now, before I get on to more of the opportunity cost, let me just tell you, very few people follow up. Very few. Getting opportunities is so simple. It's just being the person who follows up. So be the few. But also, networking is not just about that first initial connection, right? It's about building long-term relationships. The opportunities come from building trust, consistency, and staying in touch over time. You can't expect one conversation at a cocktail hour to turn into a deal 6 months later if there's been no contact in between. In fact, this is one of my big things. Most people feel gross about networking, about making an ask of somebody, because they know they're only asking when they need something and they didn't keep in touch between that initial meeting and the ask. We've got to keep in touch. So, what does follow-up actually look like? Here's the thing. It's more than just sending a, oh, it's nice to meet you, email or message on LinkedIn and then calling it a day. That might be part of it, but it's not all of it. Follow-up is about engagement. You want to keep the conversation going, ask questions, find ways to show care, and not just be transactional with like a what can I get from you kind of energy. We can all feel that, by the way. So send that email saying, hey, it was nice to meet you. Send them a resource of some kind that you think would help them. Comment on their LinkedIn post. Make sure you're staying top of mind. But I know it can be hard to figure out what to say or how to follow up in a way that feels authentic. And that is why I have created resources to help you with this exact thing. In fact, I have some LinkedIn message templates that are favorites of my one-on-one clients. In fact, so many of them, basically everyone has commented and said, oh, I really like this set of messages. This is so helpful that I've decided to make them available to you separately, apart from my LinkedIn coaching. They are great for follow-up. You can grab those in the description or in the show notes. And I also include my follow-up formula to know how to follow up in general and 28 other questions you can use to follow up. So let's recap quickly. If you are spending money on events, but then you never follow up after, you might as well have thrown that money down the garbage disposal. Frankly, you're missing out then on being remembered, building relationships, and creating new opportunities for you and for them. And honestly, follow-up doesn't have to be hard, but it does have to happen. And if you're not doing it, you're leaving a lot on the table. So if you want to do it the right way, make sure that you are keeping in touch on a regular basis. And if you want my follow-up formula and those engagement templates, you can get that whole set in the description box below. And I also have the One Hello Flow Society membership. If it's open right now, the link will be there, or you can join the wait list for the next opening. So thank you for listening to today's Tough Love episode. If this was helpful, I would love it if you would leave a comment below if you're watching on YouTube, or leave us a review, and you can catch another video or episode right here on YouTube or in the show notes if you're listening to the podcast, and I'll see you over there. Bye.